16 games. It's 15 games. I mean, we only won 3 of those 15 games. Since then, we won 13 of 14, and we've retaken first place. So, you know, it's ups and downs even for baseball teams. So now, I'll get to my joke, but I wanted to go in the other room and get this. I didn't want to mess up this part of the joke. And so, I want to be sure I would say this word for word. A while back, a minister was attained to officiate at a wedding. And at the rehearsal dinner, the groom came up to the minister and quietly said, you know, if you get to that part where you love on and obey and all that stuff, if you just leave that out, here you go, and handed him a $100 bill. And so, closed my hand, put the money in the pocket, and later on during that was during rehearsal, during the wedding, that time for him to say his vows came about, and the minister said, will you promise to bow yourself before her, obey her every command and wish, serve her breakfast in bed every morning of your life, and swear eternally before God and your lovely wife that you will never, ever even look at another woman as long as you both shall live? Well, of course, he was in the middle of a wedding ceremony. Everybody in the place was full. He said yes, but he was kind of sheepishly, kind of surprised. He said yes. After the ceremony and at the reception, the minister was going through the line to get some food, and the groom came up to me and said, quietly and said, what happened? I thought we had a deal. The minister turned to him and gave him his $100 back and said, your wife paid me $200.
That's our wedding picture.
That's fun. So let's say our statements of being or truth together. I am a child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now. This morning's lesson is going to be on acumen, and we have a little bit different order of service for you. And so we want to sing Joy Song right now. If you know the words to this song, you can sing along with it. They're doing that to me. Well, so everybody kind of knew that song, it seemed like. So I'm glad that you sang along with it. That's a good deal. Acumen, though, I think that a lot of us have heard that word, and I thought I used it fairly well. There's Jesse. There's Jesse. Thank you, Jesse, for coming back. I introduced you earlier, but I didn't know you weren't here. So anyway. So acumen. I used to use that word a lot, I thought, but then when I gave the title of the lesson to Francie, she said, what? So I guess I haven't used it as much as I thought I did. In school and during my business career, it was related to usually business acumen. And what it means is how savvy someone is in business or whatever. It's an acumen's a noun, it needs an adjective to go with it. So am I right saying that? Did I say it right? You don't teach English, do you? I need an English teacher. Anyway. That's correct, yes. Because English was not my strong suit. But I got it right, now I'm adjective. Okay, so anyway, I used to use it in business, say how much business acumen somebody had. Usually we just say how savvy someone was. And so it meant, usually what it meant was, when you talk about somebody being savvy in something, not only do they know what they're doing, but they've also experienced some things, and so they bring all that with them. So it's just more than just a book knowledge. But the Webster's Dictionary says this about acumen, what it is. It defines it as a keenness and depth of perception, discernment, or discrimination, especially in practical matters. Doesn't that sound pretty good for unity, practical Christianity? I mean, I couldn't believe it, and that definition when I saw it. It was great. But we use our acumen in different ways. And today, of course, since we're in church, I'm going to talk about our spiritual acumen and how we use that, how high we are in our spiritual acumen and everything. Because if we don't use it like this even says, in practical matters, then it really does very little good. You know, we can all come here on Sundays and say, yeah, I know I'm a spiritual being, I'm going to live forever, so and then go out and live a life that doesn't represent that. Yet, I know that in unity, most people don't do that, because we know that if we live from our spirituality, that we will benefit in our physical existence here. So even though this is a stage in our life existence, we know that we're going to benefit by knowing and actually, not only knowledge-wise, but knowing the difference between what it is to be a spiritual being and what it is to live as a spiritual being in this life, in this part of our life. So, how is your spiritual acumen? There's a couple of things I want to share with you. One that happened in my life that, you know, I'm sure that each of us have been, well, I don't know if everybody has. I know I have been offered help before in different things, and especially earlier in life, and felt like, you know, I know enough. I don't need help in this area. Well, one of these things happened when I was in high school. Didn't have to do that much with knowledge, or lack of it, I guess it did. But I worked for a lumber company when I was in high school. This was a long time ago. Do you have a picture? Yeah, that is an old picture. That's my own hair. That isn't a cap with hair on the front of it. That's hair under it. See, if I used a 20-year-old picture, I'd still have hair probably. Anyway, so I was driving. Used to like to go on deliveries because we had big deliveries and things. And so we had these nice Chevy pickups. They were the big ones, 350s, whatever they were. I don't remember. But we had a trailer. It was probably 16 foot long that we used to hook up to deliveries. And so I hooked up the trailer, loaded up this vinyl siding. I don't know if we can use that anymore. Actually, it wasn't vinyl. It used to be masonite siding. And so, you know, I used the forklift, loaded up the trailer, and it was the length of the trailer. You know, these were 16 foot long. That was back when, you know, your siding had seams because that's all the size it came in. You know, they didn't pre-cut it, or they pre-cut it. They didn't have a machine that could make it as long as you needed. So I was taking it down the street in Kingman, Kansas, which is where this was, and a lot of small towns in Kansas. I'm sure it's small towns here too. They had a highway that went through it. That's what made the town like it used to be the railroad. You know, before that. Well, Kingman, Kansas had the East and West Highway 54 that went through it. And right at Main and 54, I made the turn to get onto the highway from Main to 54. My load went all over the highway. And I looked at that. I saw, of course, I felt it, and then I knew what had happened because I could hear it. And I think, oh my gosh, I didn't boom it down. That's what you got to do. You got to boom all your loads on your trailer. You know, I never had not done that before. And of course, it happened Main and 54 highway. And there's a stoplight there. That was a good thing. But it was in the middle of a highway. I mean, so this one guy, thank goodness for him, he was going on 54. And I don't know if he lived in Kingman or not, but got out of his car and said, "Can I help you?" And I was so mad at myself. I said, "No, I've got it." And so, you know, he didn't help me. And so I was sitting there, and I don't know if you've seen those 16-foot things. They're when you lift them up, you have to lift them up in the middle to get some type of some equilibrium part in it, some leverage. But those things bend a lot. It's like flapping. It's like winging, and you can't pick up more than 2 or 3 at a time. And so it took me quite a little bit to get the intersection clear. Of course, by the time it was clear, the police were, you know, flashing lights both ways on Main, and just to tell everybody not to hit me. And I don't know if they talked to that guy or what, but they didn't offer to help me. So, needless to say, when I put it all back on there, I boomed it, and then took it to delivery. It wasn't really scratched up that much. So, but, you know, sometimes we think that we're I don't know, we get mad at ourselves, but when we do that, what we're looking at is our personality. And this is the gist of what I'm going to talk about today, our personality and our individuality, because it's key to unity teaching. And our personality is stuff that we learn as a human being in this lifetime. Some people refer to it a little bit, it's similar to the ego, okay? And, you know, we learn some things that are good for us to protect us and everything, but we also learn some things that really we probably don't have any business. If we learn it, we sure as heck shouldn't use it as a mantra in our life. But there are things that we learn, and that's part of our personality. Our individuality is the things that we came here with. It has to do with all our spiritual knowledge. And there's a difference between knowledge and knowing. And you can see that difference, too, when we're talking about personality and individuality. If we've got that, isn't that how we are sometimes? Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say about the refusing help. I mean, sometimes we refuse help to our own detriment. I mean, I don't know if you've ever done it, but I have before, and that's I mean, yeah, there's been too many times to mention. Anyway, next one, please. Oh, yeah. There are other things, though, that like me not accepting help, that trip our triggers. Actually, what tripped my trigger there was me not being so mad at myself for not booming the trailer. You know, that's what I usually do. That's how I usually get myself in trouble, is I'll get mad at myself. And then I'll cut people off because I'm mad at myself, I want to fix it. And that's really not always the best. If we really believe that we're all one, then it would be beneficial for all of us to help and grow everybody. Because like on me losing that load in the middle of 54 in Maine, I mean, wouldn't the drivers be more happy if I would have had help get that cleared up quicker? I mean, they probably would have been. So anyway, there's some things that trip our triggers. And one thing happened a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, in the NFL. And I'm going to talk about three things that trip our triggers, usually. One, spiritual. We get that here quite a bit. You know, we figure out how we think spiritually here at church, and I hope you do. And if you don't, then tell me, because I need to change the talks a little bit. So because a friend of ours, actually an instructor, Evelyn June Niles, she goes by E.J. Niles, Reverend E.J. Niles, one of her famous statements, I've told you this before, is she said, you need to comfort the afflicted, but you need to afflict the comforted. And so all that means was that if you're comfortable where you are spiritually, then you probably need to be nudged a little bit. Okay? But if you're hurting or something, we want to be there for you and try to lift you up and let you know your worth. So anyway, what happened in the NFL though is a couple of weeks ago, a player that was a rising star in the NFL was videotaped using racial slurs. And he said that, and the media got on it and has kept it alive quite a bit, which is a good thing. Because I think that if we can talk about things that make us uncomfortable, because when I talk about race, I'm usually talking about the human race. But of course here, we're talking about race as far as differences of how people look. And so they left this, they brought this up and kept going with it. And that's a good thing because it opens the conversation of where we feel about that. I don't know if you've heard it or not, or if you've seen it, but what happens when you think of someone that does that, uses a racial slur, no matter what it is, whether it's against Martians, against whoever it is, okay? Whatever it is. Because I live in different parts of the country, and different parts of the country, as far as how people look, act differently. They do. I mean, it's different here in the South, as far as this Southeast. It's different in Texas. It's different in Kansas and Missouri. It's just a little bit different. I know that some of you have moved away to different places, and you've noticed the differences. Here, I love it. I think this is the most, Atlanta, this area, I think is the most racially, not only diverse as far as different types of people from different backgrounds, but the thing I love about Atlanta, and maybe I'm just confined to this church too much, is the way that all of us are yearning for the same thing, the best of everyone, no matter what your background is. That's what we teach, but I've seen it out on the streets. And it's a wonderful thing. I think that we do great here in Atlanta area. So this guy, though, in the NFL, I mean, he was the only guy that was above him on the lineup sheet was injured, and he knew he was going to have a great deal. Why? I mean, when something like that happens, obviously it's the way he felt about something that has happened in his life. But see, that's his personality. That's when we allow our personality to be our driving force in our life instead of our individuality. We have to be focused on our individuality. Part of us that realizes that this is a stage in our never-ending life. This is a stage. Our physical existence is a stage. Now, we may think in our personality that this is it. This is all there is. But maybe there's a lot more. There's more before us and there's more after us. And see, I told you. Now what's happening? I don't know what that meant. I don't know if that's good. I'm going to say good. That's funny. So, we lost the video too. But anyway, there's something else. You want me to get it?
Sure.
Okay. There are some other things that I want to discuss with you. I don't know if it might be. I thought it might need to cool down. There's some other things I wanted to talk to you about on your spiritual acumen. What do we know about our spirituality? I'm so happy that people last week wanted to start a Bible study. The only reason I'm happy about that is because that just tells me that we're ready to look at our past, at least right now, and clear up whatever. We're just get some more clarity on it, maybe. That's all we need to do. But some people have been, especially in Unity, have come to Unity with a history of Bible bashing. Someone bashing you in the head with the Bible. You're doing this in your life, and the Bible says this, so you are a sinner. When nothing could be further from the truth. All the Bible was divinely inspired, written by divinely inspired people to get you divinely inspired. I mean, if you feel beat up from something that was supposed to divinely inspire you, it isn't working. And I've always said, and don't let me leave, it's not blasphemous. I've always said, though, even in seminary, that what our job really is to be writing the next chapters of the Bible. And a lot of people don't like to hear that because they think the Bible is the end all. But if we, which we do in Unity, if we teach what Jesus Christ, our way shower, lived and taught, then he would be right along with us. He would be saying, yes, baby, you continue on that spiritual path. These things and greater, what does that mean? And what does that mean? It doesn't mean we just stop right here, stop 2,000 years ago, what they knew then. I mean, times are different. It is a totally different world. Oh, now we have red lights.
What does that mean?
That means you probably need to turn that off. Check your computer, I hope it doesn't mess it up. So, anyway, our spiritual acumen. The other one. The third thing. Okay, we talked about a little bit about our spirituality, a little bit about when race as far as differences. I'm going to use the word differences instead of race. Okay, when differences come into play and that we see in each other from our outward vision, and we know that when we do that, we're living from our personality, things that we have been taught, not necessarily that we agree with. See, that's the deal. Some of the things that we've been taught in life, they don't resonate with us. We may be living that way, but we're living by routine, by rote. We're not recognizing, we're not looking in us to our individuality and saying, what does that mean to me? Do I really believe that? And I know that on the question of differences that we may have on the outer, I know that if we recognize the inner in ourselves, then we'll recognize the inner in others, and we will see that there are no differences. We are all one. That's no doubt about that in my mind. So the third thing I wanted to talk to you about was politics. Everybody loves to talk about politics, but nobody likes to talk about it with someone that disagrees with them. Well, it's the same with all three of these subjects, really. And that's one of the reasons you need to come here on church Sunday, is as far as your spirituality. You know, you need to build yourself up. We're here to build each other up. I hope I build you up, and Reverend Francie hopes she builds you up on a Sunday service. That's what we're here to do. To make you know that you are worthy of the blessings that God has for you. Politics. Congress has its lowest rating since they've been rating Congress. Right now. There you go. Laugh about it. That's right. That's what I want. Now, there you go. Congress has its lowest rating, and why is that? Well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, we could get into all the reasons. And I appreciate Dennis and I had a little bit of conversation the other day when we were helping Sam drive the food. We had a great conversation. And, you know, I think most of us are getting kind of tired of looking at a person and listening to what they have to say in a political arena and not really listening to what they have to say, unless they have the same letter behind their name that we have behind ours. Whether that's a D, an R, or an I, whatever it is. Democrat, Republican, Independent. Okay, I got that?
I will put it in.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm not to that point yet. And I'll get there. But the difference is that we may have is the same as looking at the differences that we are on the that we can be at the outside, that we can choose to look at on the outside. Because in the political arena, if we aren't trying to, which we've done in the past, I think, better than now, but that's just me saying that. But we have to look at, are we going to grow as one, all of us, not one, all of us. Are we going to open ourselves up to grow in the political arena as one? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. So when we hear about Congress and we get upset about it, if we get polled and we say, no, I don't like it, they're not doing their job, think for a minute inside yourself what that means to you. What exactly are they not doing? I will tell you this, that as long as we say they're not doing their job, they won't be doing the job. We have to, especially in unity, since we know the truth, we have to lift them up. It's just like a prayer for anyone else. We have to lift them up and see them getting their job done. But also, in order to do that truthfully with ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, what does that mean when we say they're not getting their job done? What does that mean to me? I mean, we have to get specific on this. Because if we get specific, then we'll know what it is, where that originated. So, say, Congress, let me think of an example of Congress. They didn't get this road built out here that they said that they were going to do 15 years ago. They still haven't built that road. What does that mean to you?